KWT slaying.
What if the truth was never lost, only buried? For centuries, historians, scholars, and even colonial records have confirmed what many tried to silence. The original Israelites were a black people scattered across continents but never erased. Their skin was dark, their customs ancient, and their covenant with Yah eternal. This journey uncovers how the Spanish and Portuguese Jews, described as dark-skinned, Semitic, shared one bloodline. Chased by the Inquisition, many fled to Portugal, then beyond, preserving their heritage across borders. But the story doesn't end in Iberia. Across from West Africa, black Jews built synagogues, kept Torah, and passed down the laws of Moses. The Limba in southern Africa, the Igbo in Nigeria, the Beta Israel in Ethiopia, tribes across the continent boldly declared, "We are the children of Israel." These aren't isolated claims. These are voices rising from the dust, connected by oral histories, Torah traditions, and the unbroken rhythm of their identity. No such legacy exists among European Jews. No centuries of tribal witness, no matching traditions, no trace of ancient covenant keeping. Maps, art, and archaeology tell the same story. The Israelites were scattered, enslaved, and displaced, but never lost. The world always knew who they were. Their presence was visible, their customs alive, their story intact. This book doesn't speculate. It confirms the Israelites were black, bound by blood, culture, and covenant to the Most High. This is not just history, it's restoration. The truth was never destroyed, only buried beneath centuries of deception. Get your copy of They Always Knew We Were Israelites today, available now on Amazon.com.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Shabbat Shalom. How y'all doing today on this Shabbat? A lot of interesting things happening. If you are a person who recognizes patterns, right, that's pretty much what you see in the scriptures, right? A lot of patterns, symbolism, things like that, metaphors. And every time I look at the news today, all I see is prophecy. And it amazes me that, like I said in the past, a lot of people still sleeping. So we're going to talk about some stuff today. It's a bit, what's the word? Off balanced. And when I say off balanced, it's sort of that dialectic, you can't pin these guys for what they're doing, but you can see the prophecies happening, right? So, one of the interesting things that, no shade at anybody, right? I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, but it was interesting that I had a comment on one of my posts, right? And, the brother said, like I say, no shade, but it says, I'm African living in America and I've not been deported. I have permanent residency and possess the required legal documents. So again, my friend, I don't think they're dealing with color of your skin, but rather whether you possess legal documents to stay in the U.S. There are also illegal white immigrants being deported. Oh, really now? So my reply was, laugh out loud, just wait, you're next. It's true. See, you know, like I say, I get it. Y'all not from here. Y'all from Africa. Y'all think it's all about, your ability and you following the laws and, uh, you know, it's not all about color because, it's just you African Americans. Y'all just can't get over slavery. Right. I know how y'all think, some of y'all. But they coming for you too. Don't get it twisted. As a matter of fact, you just a little lower on the totem pole. But, hey, if they skip by you, hey, great. Personally, I think the Mexicans, the Latinos, I think they have it good. Why do I think they have it good? I mean, not being separated from their kids, but based upon the judgment that's about to befall this place, at least they're getting out of Dodge, right? And the ones who are here gonna wish they were over there. So, you might think because you went the legal route that they're not coming for you. Oh, we're gonna talk about that a little bit as we go. Because you're still not a citizen. Don't get it twisted. Just because you have a residency card or a green card, you're not a citizen regardless, and they're coming for citizens too. Don't get it twisted. But let's look at this.
Only the Latin Americans. You know what I mean? Why is it not the Australians? You know how many Australians I know that live here and actually take your jobs?
There are approximately 600,000 undocumented immigrants from Europe in the United States. How come we're not seeing them being rounded up? Is it because they're white and not brown or black?
And why are we only targeting Latino immigrants? Is Asian immigrants, black immigrants, white immigrants, European, dare I say?
I was an illegal immigrant in the United States of America, but because of the color of my skin and the color of my hair and who I am, I have never been questioned. I have never been questioned about whether I'm American. No one has ever said, do you speak English? Because they didn't assume that I couldn't because of being an immigrant. I am an immigrant in your country.
So, as the brother said, I'm an African living in America and have not been deported. And I'm going to say yet. I have permanent residency. That means nothing. And possess required legal documents. And so there are many of them. Don't get it twisted. That legal residency is not going to protect you. Don't get it twisted. As a matter of fact, if you're an African Israelite, they're coming after you, right? That's assuming you're an African Israelite. They're coming after you. So, don't think they're not. Because you say you got legal documentation. Oh, so you got legal documentation. That means they're going to abide by the law. Mr. I am the law, Judge Dredd. They're going to abide. All of a sudden, they're going to abide by the law, right? Because you got legal documents. All right. See, that's the naivete, right? That's like the, like I said, don't get mad at me, but it's like some of the South Africans, right? The South Africans say, we're a rainbow nation. We're a rainbow nation. We don't see color. Talk about the brainwashing, right? See, that's the ignorance. That's the brainwashing of the Eurocentric educational system that Africans have been under for all of these years, right? See, that's why they don't want African Americans to go back to the continent, because we gonna wake everybody up. We already waking people up. But your documentation, your legal status is not gonna protect you. How do I know? Jacoby, you're causing fear. No, I'm not causing fear. I'm practical, right? Let's look at this right quick.
This mess since Tuesday of this week. I think it was Tuesday. Yeah, I went to Dallas to go see my girl And, I was just, pretty much just chilling with her and whatnot. And on the way back, see, I stay on the west side of Fort Worth. So I stay on the outskirts. So on the way back, I jumped on I-35, you know what I'm saying? And I'm looking in my rearview mirror, and I noticed there's like 3 SUVs behind me. You know what I'm saying? They're behind me, and it just felt weird. It felt weird. So I remember moving from the right lane into the middle lane because I was trying to get around some traffic. So I'm in the middle lane, and I look back, and I'm like, looking at the door mirror, trying to see how many vehicles is back there. I'm looking at my other mirror because I got the extra mirror that go on the side where you can actually see your blind spots. So I'm looking in that mirror, and I'm seeing it's 3 SUV units, like long units. So I'm like, what the hell? So I get back into the right lane, and I'm at this point, I'm on I-35. I'm heading down the highway. I'm about to head into Arlington because, in the distance, you can see Six Flags. You can see the rides and stuff in the distance. And the next thing you know, I see lights going off, and they blowing their horn, and I'm looking at the rearview mirror. I'm like, oh, shit, what the fuck now? So, I pull over, and, I let my window down to a crack. I want to say this much of a crack. Yes, I do have tinted windows, okay? But I can hear you, you can hear me. So I look in the back, and I'm trying to make sure I'm good. I ain't do nothing wrong, so I'm using my signals and stuff like that, like I supposed to. What did they pull me over for? It got to be a mistake, you know what I'm saying? So they pulled me over, and I'm seeing hella dudes get out these in tactical uniform. ICE pulled me over. 3 whole units of ICE agents pulled me over. And now at this point, I'm on the side of the highway surrounded by hella ICE agents talking about, we need you to get about your vehicle. I said, no. He said, I can't sit in there for my safety. I need you to let the windows all the way down. I need you to exit the vehicle. I'm like, no, I'm not getting out of my vehicle, and I'm not letting my window down no further than what it is. You can hear me. I can hear you. He said, well, we can't see in there. I said, that's for my protection. My protection. I don't care about your protection. You got all these people out here with you. This is for my protection. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, well, I said, what is this about? What's going on? He said, well, we're ICE. I said, I see your ICE. Again, what's going on? What do y'all got? What I got going on with me? He said, well, an employer has reported you as an undocumented immigrant. I said, are you serious? An employer, huh? An employer? I said, you sure you got the right guy? He said, and this is what he says. He says, Romero Dijon Tally. I said, so you just gave me a Mexican name, huh? You just gave me a Mexican name. Y'all keep doing it. You just gave me a Mexican name. Now, I am mixed with everything, but I do not present or come across as, what I'm mixed with. If you're looking at me, you would think I'm either Puerto Rican or, or black or, something that's nothing other major. You know what I'm saying? Either way, that's neither here or there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I said, again, what is this about? He said, we need you to exit the vehicle. I said, I'm not getting out this vehicle. He said, you can get out this vehicle or we can get you out this vehicle. I said, you get me out this vehicle, you're going to be getting yourself out the hospital. You playing with me, I'm going to play back with you. He said, sir, I don't think this is what you want. I said, no, y'all, I don't think this is what y'all want to do. Because if I ain't famous today, I'm going to be famous tomorrow. I'm telling you now, because what I'm going to do to y'all, if y'all get done doing me like this, I'm doing this for every last one of us. Because y'all already deporting people that's from the United States, whether they got documents or not, and y'all talking about none of that. Man, I said, so what are y'all trying to do? He said, we're deporting you. I said, you're deporting me where? Where you're from? I said, so y'all gonna deport me back to East St. Louis, Illinois, because that's where I'm from. Born and raised, that's where I'm from. No, we're deporting you back to your homeland. Bitch, I'm from America. Born and raised. I am from America. You got to have the wrong. Didn't no employers report me as an illegal immigrant. That didn't happen. I'm not over here on no visa. I live here, born and raised here, have documentations. He was like, no, none of that matters. I said, the fuck you do? I said, the fuck you mean it don't matter? He said, sir, you're making this very difficult and we can't get aggressive on you. I said, if you get aggressive, I'm going to get aggressive. We just going to be aggressive. I said, Lord, because at this point, they getting more aggressive. I'm getting a little scared, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting a little scared. I ain't trying to get pop, you know what I'm saying? This is behooving me. I'm like, yo, what's really up? I said, Lord, you know what? Your boyfriend will make an early vacation to you. I'm coming home early, Lord. I'm coming home early because if this goes down how I think it's going to go down, I'm coming to you with a gas tank full of gas. I'm letting you know right now. I'm going to do it for all of us that they doing wrong out here. I'm going to make a scene. And I'm going to drop some bodies on the side of this highway. I'm coming to you with God's speed. I said, I'm coming home to your father. If they go down the way they think go down, I'm going this back seat and I'm going to light this bitch up. I said, Lord, don't do it to me. Protect me. I still got things to do in this world. I got people to see, people to help. I got things to do. So I called my attorney on the phone and I'm telling him what's going on. He said, put me on speaker. He said, ask to speak to one of the supervisors. That's like, we all supervisors. I said, well, let me speak to the one that's in charge right now. Who's in charge of this unit? That'll be me. Well, come to the window. You got to let the window. No, you good right there. You can hand me your phone. No, I'm not going to hand you my phone. I'm going to send the speaker out the window and you're going to talk like that. No, I need to have the phone. No, you're not having my property. No, we're not doing that. My attorney tells him, what's going on? What seems to be the problem? We have an employer that reported him as an illegal immigrant and we're coming to deport him. He said, my client is born and raised here and has all his documents. I said, if you can look up his profile, I said, you clearly don't know who you're dealing with. He's a federal government security officer. He's a high-ranking officer for the federal government. He works for Homeland Security and FEMA. If you look up his profile, you will see he's from America. None of that matters. And he said, I'm confused. What do you mean it don't matter? If he has proof that he's here and he's where he's supposed to be at, how can you deport him somewhere where he's not from? Now, Homeland Security, we already know what's going on with this situation. We already know. We do projects and assist Border Patrol. So we know what they're actually doing. They're sending people to El Salvador, to the prison camp. They're not even deporting them back home. And now they so crazy out here. They getting all aggressive, sending people, actual Americans over there. They already got lawsuits up the yin yang right now. Y'all be careful out here, bro. Be careful. Because I was on I-35 leaving out of Dallas, going into Arlington, trying to get back home to Fort Worth, to the Fort Worth area. Y'all be careful, bro. Be careful. If you see black units, they're going to be in a long SUV. It's going to look like a Tahoe or a G-Wagon. It's going to look something of that manner. It's going to be unmarked. Be careful. If you see more than one behind you, trailing you, get off the highway and go to the nearest police station. If they're following you to the nearest police station, immediately run in the police station and you let them know what's going on. Do not get scared by these people, either portraying to be ICE or being actual ICE agents taking you in. If you know you've done nothing wrong, you are allowed to protect yourself. That's your right. Y'all be careful. I got away, and if y'all need any advice, please contact me. But y'all be careful out here. This is a word because a lot of people in Dallas is going through this right now. California going through this right now. Other states are going through this right now. Y'all be careful.
So y'all know I live in Dallas, right? So his channel is Rody27 if you want to check it out on TikTok. Rody27. So he had me laughing, you know. The first thing that came to mind when he was talking about getting his pew-pew from the back of the car, I flashed back to that Boondocks video. My president is black and my Lambo blue, nigga. I'm gonna slap that. I'm like, this world a trip. It's a trip. But anyway, so with that, I think that would answer my African brother who said he has permanent residency and has all the required legal documents. I mean, this brother here is a citizen, right? They were going to try to deport him. Now, I got a part 2 from this brother. Let's check it out and see what he said, because this sort of continuation of this, right?
Again, I've just been going through the private messages that people have been sending me. I do appreciate it. I do love the support. And there's a few questions I want to pretty much talk about. So one of the questions are, and no, I'm not going to post it up there. I'm not that type of person. I'm not trying to egg at nobody or start anything. They're asking questions and I want to clarify it for them. So one of the questions were, what was you wearing at the time of this incident with ICE? And I want to clarify that. It doesn't matter what you have on. I had my turban on. I did have that on. But again, it doesn't matter what you have on. It doesn't matter about what headwear you having, what jewelry you have on, what shirt, pants, shorts, shoes. It don't matter what you have on. It could be name brand. It could be unbranded. It don't matter. The clothes don't matter. If they want to fuck with you, they're going to fuck with you. It is what it is. If they're going to mess with you, they're going to mess with you. Clothes don't save nobody. It don't save anybody. And you know, with me even being a military vet, like that fuck with me, bro. Like my PTSD it's been uncontrolled right now. Very much uncontrolled. And I ain't going nowhere if I don't need to be there. Like I'm hearing about the protest that's supposed to happen, you know, this weekend and stuff like that. Y'all, hear me and please hear me good. I don't have any ill will towards any color, any nationality. I'm a lover of all, dead ass. Whether you know me personally, you just know me from work, or you just know me from around the way. I have no ill will towards nobody and don't wish ill will on anyone. I pretty much done seen it all and been in it all. This isn't a joke, bro. This isn't something for you to laugh at and play the tough guy with and all this other stuff. If you're a tough guy, you're a tough guy. It is what it is. Life happened to us all. Life will continue to happen to us all. It don't matter who you know or what you know. If it's gonna come at you, it's gonna come at you. Only thing I got to tell you is be ready for it. If you're putting yourself in those situations, those incidents, be ready for it. They don't care about no documentation. They don't care about a birth certificate, a social security card, driver license. They don't care about none of that shit. They don't care. Because what they told me was, oh, this is fabricated. Wow, really? And one of the ICE agents pretty much said, he was like, what are you doing carrying around your social security card? Why wouldn't I? Everybody seemed to motherfucking ask for it when you need it, and then when they ask for it, you ain't got it because we was always told not to carry it on your person. So yes, I do carry it on my person. Y'all have to be careful, bro. A regular attorney is not going to be able to get you out of this situation. You need an immigrant attorney, an immigration lawyer. They are what's going to tell ICE agents to release you, to let you go, this and the third. Now, you can speak to an attorney, but they're going to kindly advise you or refer you to an immigration attorney or immigration law professional. That's what they're going to do. Today, I went in.
So in the comments, this brother stated that the way he got out of this is that his lawyer, who they didn't want to listen to, got an immigration attorney on the phone. So when the immigration attorney spoke to ICE, then they let him go. So just to give y'all a heads up on that.
And I'm only giving you this information because this is what I attained today. Matter of fact, I went to immigration services today. And I sat there and I spoke with her. I told her what happened to me, and I sat there and I spoke with her. Again, it doesn't matter what documentations you have on your person. They're not trying to hear none of that. All they're going to do is say that you falsifying this, you're falsifying that, this is duplicated, this is fraudulent, this and the third. I am mixed with a lot of things. I have a lot of nationalities mixed in my blood. A lot. And I get it. There's moments where the sun beat down on me and I look more Mexican than anything. On a good day, I look Puerto Rican. My eyes are slanted. I look Asian. It doesn't matter, bro. It just doesn't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter. If they want to mess with you, they're gonna mess with you. All I gotta say is, if they're gonna mess with you, you hold your ground. You stand 10 toes down. God gave you them 10 toes to stand your ground. You stand your ground. Walk on your faith. Don't worry about what you see and walk on your faith. I'm gonna be that person for you all. Because I happen to be one of the few that made it out. Now there's people that went through exactly what I went through, and they got apprehended. They got arrested. Bro, protect each other, bro. I'm not worried about this brown and black and all this shenanigans going on, bro. Like, if you're gonna protect somebody, you don't need no big ass group to sit there and die.
So yeah, the brother is black. He obviously mixed with something, but definitely part of the culture. So whether or not you have a legal document or not, right, you have to understand one thing. We are in a constitutionalist society now. The Constitution does not matter. There is a form of adherence to the Constitution, but the law of the land is done. It's done. I mean, if you haven't realized that yet, you'll be awakened pretty soon because you're living in a dictatorship. Now we're going to look at this other video, and it's a bit long as well, but I think it's sort of important because of what happened to this particular person, through her history, but also what's happening to the Latinos and what may happen to other immigrants and to us. Now, understand that I've mentioned in the past that the curses have reversed. And we are seeing the curses reverse. And it's the same thing that's going to happen to all of the nations that persecuted us. That's what the scriptures say, right? They're all going to go into captivity. They're all going to bow the knee, because we are the Most High's chosen, right? And I'm talking about the remnant, right? The born again, blood washed remnant Israelites, not the ones who deny Yeshua's divinity or deny that let's say Torah only. I'm not talking about those folks, right? But let's look at this video. It's a little long too, but I'm like, it's worth hearing because even in this video, she admits that this is slavery, right? She admits this is slavery, and it's interesting that most people can't see that. And it boggles my mind that the Gentiles, whether you white, Asian, or whatever, still think everything is normal and you think you're safe, right? The Asians think they're safe. The Caucasians think they're safe, right? All the non-melanated Gentiles think they're safe. No, you're not safe. You're temporarily safe. Right? They just haven't come for you yet, just like under Hitler. Right? So let's listen to this.
It's Wednesday, and I have something I need to say. particularly to those people who say so proudly, I voted for this. If you have the cojones to stay around for this video and listen to what I have to say, because you voted for this, remember? And you're proud you voted for this. I'll give you a little back.
I like her accent. Frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a. You know what I'm saying? She got that Hollywood Southern, the Hollywood version of the Southern accent, but it sounds sort of cool, I think. But anyway,
Story on me, so you can understand better where I am coming from while I'm speaking to you today. I came from a family that was very poor, generational poverty. I had a mother who had a mental illness, and we didn't have health insurance. And back then, in the late 80s, early 90s, there wasn't access to mental health care like there is today. And there's not really good access to mental health care today. We can all agree on that, right? Growing up in my home with an abusive parent who was mentally ill, I had PTSD from that, from the abuse of living with somebody who was mentally unstable. But still, somehow I managed to be a straight A student in school. I was on a fast track to not just make it through high school and graduate with honors, but have scholarships lined up for me to change the curse of generational poverty in my family. I wanted to go into law, to fight for abused children, to fight for people who were struggling under a system that was not built for them. One night, my mother had an episode, an extremely violent episode. When she would have these episodes, the safest thing for me to do would be to leave the home. I had a friend that lived about 4 miles away from me, and I would always walk to that house and stay the night until my mother had calmed down, got some sleep, and back in her right mind again. This particular night, she was very violent. I left out of the home, and it was raining. It was raining so hard. It was like the heavens had opened up to release a flood. And I was walking. The car pulled up to offer me a ride. This had happened many times before. I never got in the car with anybody, but it was pouring down rain. It was pouring down rain. These two individuals were well dressed. They looked well to do. They explained to me that they were part of a church. They ran a youth group. Their children, they had children of their own, they said, that were currently off traveling around the globe to help other unfortunate children. You know, missionary work. They said that they would give me a hot meal, call my mother, call my friend's mother, make sure I had a place to stay for the night that was safe. I got in the car. That was the last thing I remembered until I woke up chained up in a basement. We still to this day don't know how long I was in that basement before I got free. We still to this day don't know how I got free. I don't remember. My mind broke so severely that I didn't know who I was when people found me naked and bleeding and bloody on the side of the road. I couldn't even remember my own name or where I came from. But I escaped a child sex trafficking ring. To this day, I still don't know how. I guess because I was lucky. I spent the next year in and out of mental institutions and child detention centers. My future was gone. I couldn't focus in school anymore. I could barely read a paragraph and remember it. My future was over. So when I tell you, I know exactly what these children that are being kidnapped by our government are about to go through. I know. You say this is what you voted for, but what you think you voted for, what you're so proud to say you voted for is this. This is who you expected ICE to get off the streets. This is who you expected ICE to get off the streets. This is who they told you they were taking off the streets. But this is what's really happening. This is what's really going to happen to the children that they've taken off the streets, the children that they went into schools to get. You know, these hardened criminals. ICE admits itself it has picked up over 500 children. That's something that they admit themselves. Now they've taken upon themselves to go into foster care and remove undocumented children. Where do you think these children are going to go? Where do you think children with no family and no home are going to end up when we deport them to God knows where? When we rip them out of a foster home, where do you think they're going? They're going to end up in the back of trucks, being shipped here, there, and everywhere. You are effectively saying with your full chest, with so much pride, that you are voting to put children into slavery. The thing of nightmares, the kind of nightmares I had all night last night, the kind of nightmares I have every other night, the kind of nightmares that ruined my life, the kind of nightmares you couldn't even fathom. But you don't care about that. Because in your mind, the lie that they sold to you, they rounded up a bunch of men that had tattoos on them, paraded them in front of cameras, shaved their heads and put them behind bars, and you just ate it up and believed it because that's what you voted for. And a lot of you claim to be Christians, and you say you sleep fine at night because you are doing what is right. So when you go to your church and you get under your steeple and you fall to your knees to pray for the safety of children today, just know the best prayer, the best and the only prayer you can say at this point is to pray for a swift death for these children. That's what you're praying for now. A swift death. That's the only thing left to save them at this point is a swift death. They will effectively be sold into child slavery. But this is what you voted for. So you remember tonight, with all your pride, when you lay your head in your bed, you make sure to pray for those babies' swift death today. Because to survive the future that you have effectively sent them to is so much worse than death. There's no way to twist this to fit some narrative that makes you feel better. You can digest all the propaganda you want to, but this is the truth. This is the truth. Shame on you is not enough of a word to express how with my whole fucking chest, I hope you reap every fucking thing you have sown. I hope you never have a peaceful night of sleep again in your life. And one day when your children are grown, we will make it known just what you did. Just what you did.
Look, look, I saw some of y'all out there gaslighting that woman. Y'all like, she not crying, not a single tear. Can you imagine all the years that she didn't cried her tears out? I'm just saying. I'm like, if she acting, then she's a damn good actress. I'm sorry. Right? The bottom line is what she said is true. You say you a Christian, you support this man, you support his policies, you support the separation of kids from their parents, you wicked. Now, I understand that this is prophecy being fulfilled, right? I get it. I understand that the Gentiles, according to scripture, going into captivity. I get it. They don't know this. They don't know that they're under judgment. They don't know that the sins of their ancestors has caught up to them. They don't get it. That's why they got you, Israel, because you're supposed to be a light to the Gentiles, waking them up, letting them know that they got to repent for their sins and the sins of their ancestors, and specifically for what they did to the true Israelites. So whether or not you see tears rolling down her eyes, I'd be cried out by now myself. I could still be upset, but I might not shed no tears. So I think that's a little, dishonest to be attacking her because she's not dropping tears. I'm like, hey, like I say, she could be a great actress, but what she said is still true, right? So we understand that the times we're living in is the time of prophetic fulfillment. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of kids being separated from their parents. And at some point, it's going to roll from the descendants of the Spaniards and the descendants of the Portuguese, who was our first enslavers. And it's going to roll over to the secondary enslavers, who are descendants of the Anglo-Saxons, who are descendants of the Western nations, who are the descendants of the colonizers, right? See, right now they're sitting way, way high up, right? In terms of the pecking order, the Caucasian is still at the top. So they're going to be sort of the last to fall, right? But it's going to work its way up. And look, bottom line is this. The scriptures are coming to pass right before your eyes. Most people can't tell. Most people gaslighting you, telling you ain't nothing to see here. But every single thing is coming to pass. I mean, when I say everything, I'm saying everything is coming to pass. Now, half of y'all can't see it. Why? Because you still sleeping. You still think Babylon is going to give you a career. You think Babylon's going to allow you to have an inheritance for your kids. You think Babylon is going to continue to give you luxuries. No, those days are past. Those days are gone. You just don't realize it yet because the full measure of the judgment hasn't hit here yet. But it's moving swiftly. It's moving swiftly. And they are now some of them who are on the lower level of the hierarchy, the Spaniards, the Portuguese, the Latinos, they're feeling it first. That's all it is. But I'm like, I could list all of the prophecies and show you all the teaching we've been doing over the years, and literally almost every single one of them is coming to pass. And like I told you, it may not be coming to pass the way you expected it to. See, it may not be coming to pass the way you expected it to come to pass. But what we're seeing today is a world full of chaos. France has protests. America has protests. Britain has protests. Germany has protests. Israel is at war with Iran. Russia's at war with Ukraine. and on until the break of dawn. But hey, ain't nothing to see here. Hashtag ain't no 400-year prophecy.
Everybody, did y'all hear the latest? Trump agreed with the Democrats. And he's not going to deport the illegal immigrants that works. You see, they need somebody to work the farms and make the hotel beds. And y'all need your nannies. Watch this clip, y'all.
Today's unlawful physical attack on United States Senator Alex Padilla by the totally unprofessional and incompetent federal agents who did that came after Donald Trump completely surrendered on his promise to deport 15 million people. The central lie of Donald Trump's deportation campaign promise came apart today when Donald Trump himself decided to agree with Senator Alex Padilla and agree with every Democrat in the House and Senate and agree with Kamala Harris and agree with Joe Biden that, of course, we should never be arresting and deporting the hardworking people who harvest our food in this country, the hardworking people who make our clothes in this country, the hardworking people who make the beds in the hotels where those ICE agents sleep when they're out there hunting the families of those people who make their beds. Donald Trump put his surrender in writing at 9:43 a.m. today, saying, our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good long-time workers away from them, with those jobs being almost impossible to replace. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming, exclamation point. So Donald Trump promised to deport every one of those people working on farms, every one of them. He promised to deport all of them. And then he decided not to deport them today. Donald Trump promised to deport 15 million people. That would include everyone who is working in those fields, harvesting our the food, making beds in hotels, everyone. And now that Donald Trump has finally decided to listen to the owners of those industries, he's not going to deport 15 million people. He's not going to deport 1 million people. It's over. The mass deportation lie that he never could have done anyway is over, and Donald Trump formally, publicly gave up today. Later in the day, Donald Trump said this.
Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers and leisure too, hotels.
So do y'all believe that? First of all, this man lies all the time. Now, let's assume that he relents on those who work in the hotels and work in the fields and all of these things, right? Let's assume he does that. They still have the executive order out there to get rid of deport immigrants. Now, if theoretically he's telling the truth, one or two things can happen. They'll say, okay, well, y'all can stay, you can come back, you can work in the fields, you can work in the hotels, but you got to come and sign up with immigration so that you can be a legal immigrant worker here. So that way you can have a legal status. And so they let them all come back, let them all come to work, Let them all work in the hotels and the fields, right? Let them get comfortable. And then say, okay, we got our harvest. You cleaned up some stuff. Now round them all up and kick them back out. He could do that. He could do that. I wouldn't put it past him. But the more likely scenario, and maybe it's a combination of both, is that now he's going to shift ICE from targeting Hispanics and Latinos and Latinas to deporting Haitians, Dominicans, Africans, right? They might turn up the heat on that and get rid of those who have legal residency who are Africans, because you're taking American jobs. That's the way they think. Understand that just because now he's supposedly letting the foot off the brake, I don't believe it. I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. I think it's all a con. But if it ain't a con, guess what? They're still supposed to get rid of 3,000 immigrants a day, or deport 3,000 a day. That was, the last target that I heard that Trump's administration wanted them to do, which is to get rid of 3,000 people a day. Now, I've said in the past, in order to accomplish this, you're going to have to deport citizens as well. And you're going to have to deport people who have residency status as well. And you're going to have to deport people who are DACA as well, right? In order to meet that criteria. Now, notice, he said he's going to sign an executive order. Well, he's not signing that executive order as fast as he did when he came into office. How come he didn't do it right then? How come he didn't sign that executive order right there? See, don't trust it. This is a dialectic. This is a time of deception. This is a time of deception, and you can't trust anything this administration says. Why? Because we are under a dictatorship. We are under fascism. We are under white supremacist rule. That's what we're under right now, if you didn't know. That's what we're under. So with all of that being said, right, let's look at this right here, because look, how do they say? Don't look at what I say or listen to what I say. Look at what I do, right? Don't listen to the lies that they say. Look at what they do. You will know them what? By their fruit. By their fruit ye shall what? Know them. What does that mean? Look at what they do, not what they say. So let's look at what they're doing, because they just said that he's not going to deport immigrants. That's what he said, right? That's what he just said. They're not going to deport immigrants. Okay. If that's what he said, then I guess it must be true. Not.
Right now, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals has declared DACA to be illegal and unconstitutional again, but has kept the program alive for now. Before I continue, if TikTok is banned later today or tomorrow, I will continue providing you updates on Instagram, YouTube, and Substack. They're all linked in my bio, so follow me there. Previously, the Biden administration codified DACA into federal law. Well, the Fifth Circuit ruled that codification violated immigration law and therefore was unconstitutional. If you don't know what DACA is, it's a program that has allowed hundreds of thousands of immigrants who crossed into the United States illegally or overstayed their visas as minors to live and work in the United States without fear of deportation. It's a great program. It's a bipartisan program, one that has been supported by both Republicans and Democrats. But despite bipartisan efforts, Congress has failed to pass any legislation that would codify it. Now, the good news here is the panel put this ruling on pause pending another decision either from the Fifth Circuit or from the United States Supreme Court, and further made this ruling extremely narrow so that it only applies to the state of Texas. As always, comment below your thoughts, spread the word, and follow along for all the news you need to know about. More to come.
So applying only to the state of Texas and is being put on hold. Well, shouldn't the request be removed? I mean, like if they're already talking about bringing people back and allowing them to work the fields and to work in the hospitals and the hotels, shouldn't they remove this request from the court? See, but DACA is a what? Legal status. It's a legal status. But my African brother says I have permanent residency and possess the required legal documents. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Because he says, I don't think they are dealing with the color of your skin, but rather with you possess legal documents to stay in the U.S. He said, it's not about your melanation. It's about you being legal. That shows me somebody who hasn't lived in America long enough. If you don't think it's about color. Shoot, America's all about color. America ain't nothing but about color. Whether you have it or not. Come on now, family. Yes or no? Is America about color or not? Yes or no? Because our brother apparently don't get it. He hasn't lived here long enough, I guess. He hasn't had his residency here long enough, I guess. Because for the FBAs, we know it's always and has been and will always be about color. Let's not get it twisted. We're not gaslighted anymore. We're not sitting in these churches by these white pastors that tell us we all the same. It ain't about color. We all equal. Obviously, that's a lie. But he says, it's not about color, family. All we got to do, family, is work hard. Pick us up by our bootstraps. If we work hard, they'll accept us and we could become the CEOs of the corporation. As a matter of fact, didn't you see Obama became the president of the United States? It is not about color, family. It's about working hard. It's about getting the legal documents.
Moved here to North Carolina, and I think we have a problem.
All right, family, I'm gonna need your help. Y'all gotta see this.
Somebody torched our welcome mat and painted this side of the house too. This is getting crazy. It's quite literally everywhere on the property. I'm afraid for my kids, TikTok. Please do your thing.
But it's not about color, family. It's not about color. And notice they got the cross everywhere. Ain't them nice little Christians there? The KKK Christians. But it ain't about color. And people gonna get mad at me and say, Yacoba, you're causing division. You're making it about race. Well, it's always been about race. But in reality, if you dig low enough, you will find out that it's really about heritage. And if you dig a little lower, you're going to find out that it's about the fact that we are the chosen of the Most High, that we are the Ezra Alawi. We are the Israelites. We are the ones who went to the four corners as slaves. But it ain't about color, Yakoba. You make it all about color. Guess what? Always is about color, always will be about color till the Most High gets us out of here and we go back to the land. Period, with a T. But understand, Babylon is falling. Babylon is falling. And I did videos years ago saying this was going to happen. And guess what? It's finally here.
You now have 5 minutes. It is 4:47. You have 5 minutes to leave or you'll be arrested. I will escort you.
Under what grounds?
Trespassing, failure to obey.
Trespassing and failure to obey,
Yes.
but okay, so are you saying that this is private property? That I, as a lawyer who just came out of court, what?
Where was your courtroom?
Superior Court, right across the street.
Okay, well that's a state court. It's not federal court.
I understand, but
So there's no federal court here. Ma'am. It is now 4:47.
okay. And what kind of so I what I'm trying to figure out is what law do you have to support? If you can read me, sir, if you can read me, I got 4 minutes. Good. So I got 4 minutes. Read me the law that states that I cannot be here. I know you guys are circling me, trying to intimidate me, which is funny because I'm like, I'm a 5'2".
You understand actual notice, ma'am, and posted notice?
Yes,
you
I do.
Understand those two?
Yeah.
I am now giving you actual notice. I've given it to you several times. My partner will now show you posted notice since you're a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. I want to know what grounds that I cannot stand on government property.
You do not understand actual notice. That's fine. We're going to show you in writing.
Okay. I'm showing you right.
And
I'll tell you if what you're
4
purporting to show me is legal or not.
You have 4 minutes.
And then what are you going to do?
I'm going to arrest you. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay. All I'm doing, sir, is I want to know my rights, and so what?
You are loitering. Not only are you loitering, you are failure to obey orders from a federal officer. That's what you're doing.
Oh, I'm loitering. Okay,
Yes.
I'm loitering.
You have business here today, man.
I have business here today.
Why are you here?
Why am I here? I don't know. Maybe because I don't like
Because
I don't
you're loitering.
because I don't appreciate Nazis coming into my neighborhood.
Well, now you're demonstrating. You cannot demonstrate on federal property.
Provisions for you to understand that portions of the property are closed right now. We're giving you lawful direction to depart the property. And she has how many more minutes?
She has now 3 minutes.
All right.
You have 3
If you
minutes
don't
to
do
leave.
it, you'll be fined $5,000 in fines, 1 year in jail.
Says who?
or both.
Donald Trump?
You understand?
Isn't it interesting that we're dealing with a police state? Right, this is what we're dealing with. It's a police state, and they are in riot gear. Now, notice the complexion for the protection. Who are the police doing all of the rounding up? You notice that, right? I don't see a lot of us at all with these police officers. I don't see a lot of us at all with ICE. They happen to be the members who look like they could join KKK. And this is why, because these people have no compassion. These people don't have a heart of compassion. I'm not saying all of them. There's a few, probably count them on one hand. But most of them don't know what compassion is. And they will say, well, the law says this and the law says that. And they will make sure that there is no grace applied. They're going to apply the letter of the law. They're not going to apply it with grace. They're going to hit you over the head and drag you to prison. they're going to take your papers and say you never had them and put you in detention. This is the world we're living in. And understand, it's going to get worse. And I'm not going to be able to talk like this all the time because they're going to be coming for everybody. Because as they systematically destroy the rule of law, the thing that's going to rule is fear. And this is where we're at. Hashtag ain't no 400-year prophecy.
7. We have the Missouri governor now declaring a state of emergency and activating the National Guard in anticipation for massive protests that are planned not only across the state, but across the country here today. This is all part of the civil unrest that had sparked up in LA and is now spreading across the country here on the 14th in an event they call No Kings. There is a website that has shown that all week they've been preparing for this day, and we have cities that are pinned on this map, again, all across the country, small cities, large cities. I would expect to see some of the larger cities see the action. A shout outs to Jay from the Ville, sending me images from Louisville last night. There were some people that showed up, but it was mostly calm and quiet. Nothing like what we had seen going on in LA. But today is the big day. And because they're expecting clashes and fires and who knows what else, Missouri declaring a state of emergency. We also have Texas going down the same route here, calling in the National Guard. Their governor ordering a contingent of the National Guard to San Antonio. Now, we've also heard early this morning that they're being spread out even further. You could see them in places like Austin and bigger cities like Dallas. Wherever they feel or they spot these groups coming into town, because you can see them rolling in on the buses because this is all paid for. And I exposed this on last night's live stream. We've gone into great detail exposing not only Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, Soros, and all the regular minions behind this, but they're using these groups that are tapping into taxpayer money and using the taxpayer money to attack the people, which is treason. Again, while this all happens, George Soros is sitting free at his home in New York City, not being bothered. It just blows my mind. You know, Kash Patel said he's going to investigate this and look into it. Garbage. He's going to look into it about like how we did with Epstein, right? So the world is a stage, and apparently it's time for America to get torn apart by design. You got to have a plan, man. You can't just sit there and watch and thinking some white knights are going to show up to save the day, or these goons are going to show up to your neighborhood, and there might not be anyone to help. So you better have a plan. If you see me go live here on this channel later today, it's because something's popping off in one of these cities near me. I highly doubt it, though, up here in these mountains that anyone's going to show up, because it didn't last time with BLM. But some places are going to see action, that's for sure. Bigger cities, be on the lookout. You'll be seeing these guys getting bussed in. You can track them back to the hotel where they're staying. You know, you can ask questions. If you guys got anything explosive or connected to this, let me know. Dabu7@yahoo.com. Tag me.
So it's interesting that we have these state of emergencies going on because of this protest, right? And what you got to understand, what's happening is this is the process of getting you used to totalitarianism, right? This is the process where you accept that there is no more rule of law. This is where you get to the point where you accept that the Constitution no longer has any teeth, has any force. And this is all by design, right?
To confirm their identities. They are relentless, unbelievably horrifying news coming out of Minnesota, where 2 Democratic lawmakers were both shot in separate home invasions on the same morning by a gunman wearing body armor and impersonating a police officer. On screen now, you see Representative Melissa Hortman on the left and Senator John Hoffman on the right. This article reads, sources say 2 Minnesota lawmakers have been shot. Now, this is a rapidly evolving story, so I'm going to give you updates on the state of the victims, on the state of the manhunt, but things are subject to change. I think one thing that we can safely assume is that this was a political attack. Obviously, the investigation will uncover more, but when 2 Democratic lawmakers are targeted in the exact same way, at the exact same time, and are shot on the same day as Trump's escalatory military parade, you can almost safely assume this is a political attack, and it's not just a one-off. This is a part of a growing pattern that we need to talk about across American politics. But first, can we just hop in and talk about this story in particular? Breaking news. Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman and State Representative Melissa Hortman, both Democrats, were reportedly shot in separate home attacks. According to KSTP, both were targeted by a gunman dressed in body armor, impersonating a police officer. Senator Hoffman was attacked in.
So how do we know this was an impersonation? Y'all know what I'm saying, right? How do we know that this was an impersonation? How do we know that Hitler didn't send the Gestapo? You know what I'm saying? How do we know that this isn't part of the continuation of a plan for a civil and a war? I'm like, to me, it looks like that to me, right? This looks like what the Mossad does or what the Ukrainians do. How the Ukrainians were taking out some of the Russian leadership. I'm like, that's what it looks like to me. And now we have people going around dressing with, body armor who works for ICE, who has no badge, or at least they don't show you no badge, who carry guns, have their faces covered. And now you have this. But some of y'all think things going back to normal.
In Champlin and Representative Hortman in Brooklyn Park. Authorities have launched a manhunt for the suspect described as a white male with brown hair, wearing black body armor, a blue shirt, and blue pants. The condition of both lawmakers remains unknown, and this is a rapidly developing story. Now, there is also a warning to people who live in Minnesota not to open their door for a single police officer. Only open your door if you see 2 police officers and if you've called your local station to confirm their identities. They are relentlessly saying, do not open your door for a single police officer. That is not something that we should be doing right now. Before I dig a little bit deeper into this, can I just say, this comes at a time when Donald.
So do y'all remember what happened during the time of the lollipop and how, the strike team went over there to Haiti and took out the leadership? They tried to do the same thing in Africa as well. I'm like, does it not seem similar? I'm like, I think this whole situation is worse than many of us realize.
Trump is already threatening our democracy in 100 different ways. And now his top-down escalatory rhetoric is getting his insane MAGA supporters to do this. Now, again, we don't exactly know the intentions or the political implications of this attack. But I don't think it's a stretch to say that when 2 Democratic lawmakers are shot by a white dude dressed up as a cop, that there are some political implications behind this. And for the past 10 years, Donald Trump's rise to power has been painting Democrats not just as political opponents, but as the enemy of the country, as traitors, enemies of the state. Donald Trump will point at the media and say they're the enemy of the people. He calls Governor Gavin Newsom new scum. And he was just saying throughout this whole week that Governor Newsom is responsible for countless deaths. Imagine being an impressionable American who is already prone to radicalization and you trust Donald Trump more than anybody else. I know it's hard to imagine, but there are people like this. So just imagine you trust Trump more than anybody else and you're easily impressionable. You hear Trump saying that Democrats want to kill you, want to ruin the country, want to end everything. Of course, you are going to be easily radicalized into committing an attack like this. But the scary thing is the way this man leveraged the police force to do this. We also had an emergency alert. BKP PD issuing shelter in place order in 3-mile radius of Edinburgh Golf Course for emergent event. This was the shelter in place order that I was talking about, where they said, careful opening your door for cops when there's only one, because that is suspicious. Police are looking for a suspect in multiple targeted shootings who is armed and dangerous. Suspect is white male, brown hair, wearing black body armor over blue shirt and blue pants, and may misrepresent himself as law enforcement. Do not approach, call 911. And I do want to use this opportunity to say that these protests today are to push back against stuff like this. Let me explain. When Trump is using all of these illiberal, anti-democratic means to get his point across, like targeting universities, lawsuits against law firms, targeting the media, and his supporters are using violence, this is our chance today to have our voice heard in a peaceful, in a very powerful way. I urge you all to be peaceful today. And I also urge you all to join my live stream. We are going live in just about 2 hours. There's a chance that when you're watching this video, we're either already live or we're gearing up to go live. In about 2 hours, we are going live on the ground to cover the No Kings protest, to interview people, to talk to people. It is going to be powerful. Maybe we can have 5,000, 10,000 people watching as we allow our voices to be heard. Just think about how much of a win that is, to have thousands of people watching as your voice is heard. So go make sure that you have the live stream saved below. You can save the live stream for free, and it'll just pop up on your phone and say Adam Mockler is live at the protest. And then you get to join, you get to ask questions.
So my question is to you all, does this not seem like a purge? Does this not seem like what Stalin did? Political assassinations, internal crackdowns. What's coming next? Decapitation strikes, full martial law. I mean, I think we're in martial law already. But if we look at the scriptures show us that these are the things that were going to happen. This is what we're seeing in Jeremiah 50. This is what we see in Jeremiah 51. Now, also what we're seeing is 2nd Ezra 15. Right? All of this stuff at the same time.
They have started sending out a couple of aircraft carriers pretty deep out into the Pacific, like stationing deep. Also, Russia is moving in towards the Pacific coast. Also, we just sent a bunch of military to LA. I also live right by a base on the Pacific, one of the bigger ones on the West Coast, and it's been fighter jets and helicopters for the last 24, 48 hours. Things are heating up on the West Coast. And Iran and Israel are just bombing the absolute shit out of each other right now. Downtown areas, just civilians. It's quite a fucking day today. I'm just trying to figure out how much to freak out living by one of the largest bases in Washington.
So for me, what I see in terms of all of this is the gradual incrementation of totalitarianism. And here's the thing, right? All coups d'etats, all purges go from, light purges to extreme purging, right? The people have to be conditioned slowly to accept the purging, right? People have to be scared enough where they don't resist, that they become obedient. So as things continue, the heat, and as the scripture says, the contractions get closer together, the pain gets more painful. The heat gets hotter. And so when we look at what's happening today, and we look at, this whole thing with Israel and Iran, and you notice I'm not talking too much about the Israel thing, even though I'm going to talk about it a little, is because I think everybody knows about it. And hopefully you do know what's going on with Israel and Iran. But understand that America is not like it has ever been. America looks more like during the time of the Stalin regime than any other time in history. I mean, other than maybe Hitler, right? But yet some of y'all think we're not living in the last days. Some of y'all think that the Vatican is Babylon. Some of y'all think that the mark of the beast is when we were enslaved. Some of y'all are so confused, but yet the blind leads the blind and they both fall into the pit, while Russia, which is the kingdom from the north, is about to come here, right? The king from the east, he's about to come here, and not Gog and Magog, right? I don't think we're in the time of Ezekiel 38. I believe that's at least 800 something years or more away. But all of this stuff is happening all at the same time, which is not a coincidence, right? You cannot have this type of chaos globally and it not be organized, scripted, manufactured by the powers that be. If it were to happen casually, then it wouldn't be in every nation, in every country, in every city. This is by design. You don't know how much trouble we are in. You don't know how much trouble you and your family are in. You don't know how much trouble your children are in. But y'all don't want to listen to me. I told you to prepare. Dabu 7, you heard him say prepare. Maybe you listen to him. Because some of y'all like that white bottle, right? You don't listen to anybody that don't have that white bottle.
Are you ready for this shit? I've just read on the internet, on the website Medium, that a Chinese aircraft carrier known as the Fujian, one of their super carriers, is en route to the west coast of the United States, and China is saying they will defend California if the federal government tries to invade or take control. Now, I knew, and I said a long time ago, that the whole reason that the West Coast was hot on disarmament of its citizens was because of this shit right here. I've also said numerous times that disarming American citizens was a threat to national sovereignty. And here you have it. China talking big shit and sending a carrier group to the West Coast. There's also stories on X about this. You guys need to look this shit up. They're trying to start another Ukraine situation right here in the United States of America. And I can guarantee you that the average citizen of the state of California has no interest in being a Chinese collaborator. That's right. This is treason. This is high treason. This is secession. And this is absolutely insurrection. You guys need to look at this. This is scary as shit. I've only sourced this from 2 sources. But if this is true, it is the most monumental thing to happen in the last 200 years. We need to know what's really going on, because this shit's scary.
Hey, but hashtag ain't no 400-year prophecy. Your Cobra teaching fear doctrine. Ain't nothing was going to happen after 2019. How come we're still here, Yacoba? I thought we were supposed to leave, Yacoba. Well, go watch my videos is what I always say. Because they always gaslight you, right? They always take what you say out of context, right? But yet everything I've taught, everything I said is coming to pass. I'm just saying, I don't have to be right. But it sure looks like it. Sure looks like I've been right. So what's next? I'm sorry. I'm like, to me, it's like an open book, right? To me, it's like having the answers to the tests already. Well, Yacoba, how did you know this? Yacoba, how did you know that? Well, I had the cheat sheet. I knew what the answers were. I knew what to look for. Well, obviously, you didn't study. Because if you can't see it and you had the cheat sheet called prophecy, obviously you didn't study. Yacoba teaching fear doctrine. Tell ministries teaching fear doctrine. Iran vows to target U.S. and issues terrifying warning with plan to launch 2,000 missiles. Iran has launched retaliatory strikes on Israel, killing at least 3 people after a series of Israeli attacks struck the heart of Iran's nuclear program. Iran has warned a sinister fate is in store for Israel and its allies as the Islamic Republic plans to strike U.S. bases in the region. A spokesman for the Islamic Republic's military said, "Our next missile launch at Israel will include approximately 2,000 missiles, at least 20 times the size of the previous launch." This comes after Israel used warplanes as well as drones smuggled into the country in advance, according to officials, to assault key facilities and kill top generals and scientists. Iran's UN ambassador said 78 people were killed, more than 320 wounded in attacks. An official told Fars News Agency, "The war that began with the start of the Zionist regime's aggression will spread to all areas occupied by this regime and American bases in the region in the coming days, and the aggressors will be the target of Iran's decisive and extensive response." Iran launched retaliatory missile and drone strikes on Israel overnight and into Saturday morning, killing at least 3 people and wounding dozens after a series of blistering Israeli attacks on the heart of Iran's nuclear program and its armed forces. Israel asserted the barrage was necessary for Iran before Iran got any closer to building a nuclear weapon. Although experts in the U.S. government have assessed that Tehran was not actively working on such a weapon before the strikes. Iran retaliated by launching waves of drones and ballistic missiles at Israel, where explosions lit the night skies over Jerusalem and Tel Aviv and shook the buildings below. The Israeli military urged civilians already rattled by 20 months of war sparked by Hamas' October 7 attack to head to shelter for hours. Senior military officials stated that this confrontation will not end with last night's limited actions, and Iran's subsequent strikes will continue, and this action will be very painful and regrettable for the aggressors. The statement continues, "History has shown that the Zionist regime has started a war many times with its crimes, but evidence indicates that this time the Islamic Republic intends to subject this criminal regime and its supporters to its own sinister fate." It seems that Israel and the United States, as the 2 main pillars of terrorism in the region, must await the consequences of their barbarities in the coming months. Israel's strikes also put further talks between the U.S. and Iran over a nuclear accord into doubt before they were set to meet Sunday in Oman. Iran's foreign ministry spokesman called further nuclear talks with the U.S. meaningless after Israeli strikes on the country, state television said. The U.S. did a job that made the talks become meaningless, Esmail Baghaei was quoted as saying. He added that Israel had passed all Iran's red lines by committing a criminal act through its strikes. However, he stopped short of saying the talks were canceled. The Mizan news agency, which is run by Iran's judiciary, quoted him as saying, "It is still not clear what we decide about Sunday's talks." All right. So Iran vows to target U.S. and issue terrifying warning. Now, didn't I mention to you all that there's a good chance, according to the scriptures, that they're going to attack the bases in Iraq, right? Because Iraq is what? Iraq is Assyria. And so, according to Second Esdras, they're going to attack the Assyrian land. And so right now we have what it appears to be, at least, the dragons of Arabia right? Fighting the Caromanians. And so as we see, Iran is like, okay, they didn't cross our red lines, and we're going to hit back. Now, remember, the scriptures state that the people from Persia or Iran, they're not going to be concerned about wealth. They're not going to be concerned about money when they come in here and they start handling business. It just seems to me that, you know, whether or not you accept it or not, it appears that we are literally living Jeremiah 15:51. Israel's crushing blow leaves Iran with few cars left. In the span of just a few days, the Islamic Republic of Iran has seen its military prowess shattered, its defenses overwhelmed, and its strategic options narrowed to a thin, dangerous edge. The latest Israeli strikes, swift, precise, and devastating, have not only leveled Iran's key military infrastructure, but also exposed the hollowness behind years of propaganda about the Islamic Republic's military capabilities. Iran now finds itself in a deeply humiliating and strategically crippling position, virtually defenseless in the skies and increasingly paralyzed on the ground. Despite its ability to launch waves of missiles, the results are starkly one-sided. With each attempted barrage, Iran is not only failing to achieve meaningful impact, but it is also exposing more of its launch sites, radar systems, and command infrastructure, each of which Israel systematically eliminates in rapid succession. Yes, some missiles are getting through, such as the one that hit the headquarters in the Israeli Defense Force in Tel Aviv and should not be downplayed. However, the comparison between the two sides for successful strikes could not be more stark. Israel's defense systems are reportedly intercepting as much as 95% incoming missiles. Well, I don't know if that's true or not. This remarkable success rate underscores a glaring asymmetry. Iran can still fire, but it can rarely strike with precision. I don't know if that's true, personally. The psychological toll of missiles, sirens, and repeated runs to bomb shelters is very real. Israeli civilians are living under near constant alert, but in terms of damage to military or strategic assets, Iran's campaign is largely symbolic and increasingly self-defeating. Now, I've heard otherwise. I've heard that they have been getting strikes in Tel Aviv and hitting a lot of buildings, and a lot of the missiles, the Israeli Iron Dome has been missing the missiles, not intercepting 95%. So that's what I hear, right? So we have all of this happening, right? All of this provocation, you know, the idea of sleeper cells, right? Now, apparently there were sleeper cells in Iran that Israel had, but then there's sleeper cells here in America. There's sleeper cells also in Israel, right? They haven't been released yet. Psalms 137, verse 4-9. How shall we sing Yahuwah's song in a strange land? So how can we sing Yahuwah's song in a strange land? That's the question. How can we sing Yahuwah's song in a strange land? We can't. That means we're leaving. Right? How can we sing Yahuwah's song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy, remember, O Yahuwah, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed. See, this is the daughter of Babylon that we're in. Happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against a stone. So this is what we can expect, because we cannot sing the Lord's song in a strange land. So in order to sing the song, we have to leave, right? Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 28. Listen to the fugitives and refugees from Babylon, declaring in Zion how Yahuwah, our Elohim, has taken vengeance for his temple. So listen to the fugitives. Pay attention. Listen to the fugitives and the refugees. That's because you're going to have to flee. Declaring in Zion, going back home, how Yahuwah has taken vengeance. Now, not only are you listening to the testimony of the Israelites, they're going to come out singing, giving praise, because we can't sing the Lord's song in a strange land. He's coming to get us. The cage of the birds is being opened. With all of the chaos and all of the judgments that have befallen the world, people don't realize that what we're seeing is the deliverance of his people. They don't understand that money not going to save them in the end. The scriptures say, how you rich men weep and moan, for such great wealth has come to naught. See, with those who don't study end time prophecy and those who are not led by the Holy Spirit fail to understand is that all of these prophecies that's happening right now cannot be coincidence because they're all concurrent. Russia has an issue with Ukraine. Russia has an issue with Babylon, the United States in the West. Russia is also positioning missiles in Alaska. I don't have that article with me, but you can look it up. They're positioning their missiles in Alaska, pointed towards the United States. China has their ships in the Pacific. While there's chaos here at home, protests and the loss of constitutional law or constitutional legal protections. While at the same time, people no longer have the rights to due process, there's no longer habeas corpus. And some of y'all are delusional enough to think that because you are a U.S. citizen, that's going to protect you. And then some of y'all are going to go out there and protest with the Gentiles. And guess who's going to be deleted first? The Bible said they're going to look for Israel's guilt but not find it. They're going to look for a reason to accuse us so they can delete us, but they're not going to find it. This is why Negroes, Israeli, Israelites, FBAs have been on one accord saying we're not protesting. We're not going to these protests. They are no good. They won't do anything but put a target on our back. Because the Most High had put us on one accord. When was the last time Negroes was on one accord? When the last time we stood together on anything? Well, we're not marching. We're not protesting, most of us, because the Most High put in our hearts not to do so. As we see all of these things happening and we see the prophecies coming to pass and we see the Gentiles going into captivity and we see that the families are being separated and we see and I don't glory in none of that. And we see the Deuteronomy 28 curses coming off of us and onto them. I'm like, what do you expect to happen next? As a matter of fact, my question to you is, based upon what you see right now, how do you expect to survive? I'm just asking. And as a matter of fact, Based upon what you're seeing happening right now, how can you survive? If the Exodus doesn't happen or the wilderness doesn't happen, where we flee into the wilderness, how do we survive? Some of y'all are going to say, oh, well, the Most High going to protect us like he did during the plagues of Egypt. Yes, he could do that. But at the same time, I know what the word says. Flee. Flee. Y'all don't like that word. Flee. Run for your lives. That's the Bible. But hey, Tell Ministries teaches fear doctrine. But like I said, look at my record and look at their record. Look at who's been right and look who has been wrong. Look and see who bears good fruit and look who bears bad fruit. As I mentioned on Brother Carey's show this earlier week, part of the week, I'm not looking to make no friends. I'm not looking to get along with everybody. I'm looking to obey the Most High. Those who love the Most High, we could get along. Those who love our people selfishly, we can get along. Those who put the kingdom of Yahuwah above their own needs and wants, we could get along. Those who truly love our people, want to help our people, we can get along. But those who play in church, those who play in camp, those who play in Israelite mores, who not honest, who gaslights, who lies, who betrays, no, we're not going to get along. I'm not looking to get along just to get along. It's not happening. I'm not looking to build. It's not happening. There's a lot of people who are agents, and sometimes I can't tell who's who. I'm not looking to get along with everybody. But if you love the Most High, if you love his people, if your heart is to build the kingdom of Yahuwah, if your heart is to help those who are less fortunate, if your heart is to love your people and your family and rebuild the families of Israel, we could work together. We could talk. But if you hear the gaslight and teach a lot of crap and bull crap and misteach the scriptures, nah, we're not going to get along. If you believe Gentiles can't be saved, no, we're not going to get along. If you don't believe that the Most High, from the very beginning, said that he was going to save all the descendants of Adam, no, we're not going to get along. Because here's the deal. They don't tell you this, and I'm the one that keeps telling y'all this. You don't know if you're going to make it past the sword. See, everybody looking for the second Exodus and everybody looking for a way out, but you don't know if you're going to make it past the sword. It's the Most High's grace. Now, if you in his will and you living righteous and you doing what he told you to do, yeah, there's a good chance you'll make it past the sword. But guess what? We don't know. Just as we don't know who's truly born again, do we? I mean, we could look at the fruit, but only the Most High truly knows who's born again. But this has to be the time that the cage is open, because if the cage ain't open, if we're not let out of the land of our captivity, I don't see how we make it. But I believe the Most High's word. I believe he's coming. I believe he's going to get us out of here. And guess what? I believe he's coming before it gets to the extreme, because the Bible says as soon as Israel travailed, she was delivered. Not at the end, not at the end of the contractions where the pain is at its height and the purging is at its height and the deletions are at its height. No, as soon as Israel travailed, she was delivered. And we're going to leave here singing and giving praise and glory to the Most High. But it's going to be a remnant. Only a remnant. Everybody who say, Lord, Lord, not entering the kingdom, but what? He who does the will of the Father. Only a remnant. I guarantee you, if Pastor Darby was still here today, he'll tell you, only a remnant. Everybody who say they're Israel and who know that we the people and know about the law, statutes, and commandments, and they don't love people, and they lie on people, they gaslight people, they're not going to be there. As a matter of fact, you need to be ready, because especially if you live in California or if you live in New York, those are going to be the first places hit. Those are going to be the first places set on fire. Those are going to be the first places locked down. Don't get it twisted. If you agree with me that these are the times that the Bible spoke of, that we are living Jeremiah 50:51, we are living 2 Ezra 15 and 16. If you agree, then guess what? You need to be prepared to flee. Because that scenery that we see in Revelation 18, where we see Babylon burning and the ships are out in the sea, looking at a burn, more than likely, California and New York, major ports of entry. I'm just saying, I don't know. We about to find out. We about to find out. Well, fam, that's all I got. If you want to support us, you can by becoming a patron. You can also give Cash App, TEOTW7101. $ TEOTW7101. Once again, Cash App, $ TEOTW7101. You could go to tillministry.com, click on the donations tab. There's other means of giving. And I'm going to say this. Also, you can like, share, and subscribe. You can buy Minister Teyu's book, They Always Knew We Were Israelites. You can buy my book, True Jerusalem, The Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites, if you want to support this ministry. I mean, based upon what I'm seeing today, there's not much time left. So if you're going to support it, go ahead and support it, because I don't know how much time we got left. And based upon what I'm seeing right now, I mean, I don't know how it's going to play out. I'm not a prophet. But at any moment, things can change, and it'll, it's already not going to be the same, because it's not the same. But normalcy is going to go away. Electricity is going to become intermittent. Cyber attacks are going to happen. There's already food shortages. I'm seeing people saying, oh, did you go to the Walmart over here and see it was empty? Or did you go to Whole Foods over here in Dallas and see that it was almost empty? What's going on? I'm just saying, I don't know about you. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. Love you with the love of the Messiah. Well, family, the wait is over. The moment has arrived where truth emerges triumphant from the shadows of history. Introducing the True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites, the groundbreaking work by me, Yaakov Vale, a journey into the past that reshapes the future. I cut through centuries of misconceptions with piercing clarity. This book delivers a compelling case packed with evidence that commands attention and gonna get some respect. Come with me for a second, family, and discover how these thrilling civilizations flourished, protected by towering highlands and sustained by advanced engineering. Some have asked, where is Jerusalem? Is it the land in the Middle East? I say no. It is in the highlands of Ethiopia. With hours of groundbreaking research, this book brings in a new revelation, and it will transform your understanding of African history and its connections to the ancient world. It's going to remove from your mind the conditioning by the Romans of what has really happened to our past. Come with me, family, to the Ethiopian highlands and find out why this is our land, why things have been hidden and obfuscated for centuries. We are royalty, children of the Most High. What kind of land do you expect us to have? Dried up dirt in the Middle East, or land flowing with rivers, a land full of beautiful animals flowing with milk and honey? Don't miss out on this monumental unveiling. Grab your copy today and stand on the side of truth. Visit Amazon.com or www.tailministries.com to purchase your book and join Jacoby Vale's teachings on Tail Ministries. Family, your journey to hidden history has now begun. So family, get your copy of True Jerusalem, The Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites today. Journey to the heart of Africa, where history and legend converge to reveal the forgotten kingdoms of the Israelites and the true location of Jerusalem.